the arm of disaster risk management, and so we do expect these things to happen sometimes. Murphy's Law, what will happen, no? But we are here, we are up and running. Again, thank you for your patience. I know we had a lot of questions this morning that we did not have time to delve into really touching the meat of those. And so I welcome you guys, the media, again, to ask your questions. There have been some recent updates. I know you want to hear about that, and we want to educate the public. And so I will start off by inviting the Chief Met to give us the recent Hurricane Beryl updates.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Ms. Latina. Good afternoon, members of the media, and good afternoon, Belize. The latest on Hurricane Beryl as of 3 p.m. local time. The system was at 15.9 degrees north, 70.8 degrees west. That position is about just over 1,100 miles east by south of Belize City. So I'm putting it in the local perspective. The hurricane continues to move rapidly west-northwestward at 22 miles per hour, and maximum sustained winds have decreased slightly. It is now a Category 4 hurricane, a strong Category 4 hurricane, with maximum sustained winds of 155 miles per hour. The latest satellite imagery that I saw from Beryl shows that the eye has become a bit more rugged, indicating that the system is undergoing some weakening due to the vertical wind shear that we forecasted to start, and that is starting to affect the system, no? In terms of the projected path, not much has changed since we last updated you. It is still forecast to move generally west-northwestward for the next 24 to 36 hours and impact the island of Jamaica around midday tomorrow, Wednesday. Thereafter, the system will further weaken due to vertical wind shear as it enters the northwestern Caribbean Sea through Thursday, and move generally west to west-northwestward towards the Yucatan Peninsula, with a likely landfall on the Yucatan Peninsula late on Thursday night into early Friday morning. The uncertainty cone, or the probability cone, is still relatively wide at the time of landfall. It extends from the extreme northern parts of Belize all the way to the northern tip of Yucatan, indicating a high level of uncertainty still at that point. I call it a probability cone. It's a probability distribution, with the center being the highest probable part. So that's the reason why people focus on the center. However, we do know that because there is a smaller chance of something happening doesn't mean it won't happen. So there is still the slight chance that it could deviate and move on a more southerly part of that track, which would take it into northern Belize. And therefore, we advise our residents to remain vigilant, to continue monitoring the system extremely carefully. Currently, the latest indications are that tropical storm hurricane force winds are confined to about 25 to 30 miles away from the center, and tropical storm force winds at about 60 or 70 miles. I'm talking about the southern part of the hurricane because we're focusing on the southern semicircle, given that it is most likely to pass to the north of us. Given those figures, it would seem that the northern parts of the country, if it follows the most probable path, will be the ones that would be on the fringes of tropical storm force winds. If it follows the worst case scenario and moves further south, then of course, hurricane force winds will affect that part of the country as well. Now, the forecasted weakening indicate that at landfall, it will be a Category 1 hurricane. That is anything between 74 and 95 miles per hour in terms of wind speeds. And along with that, we expect heavy rainfall near the center of landfall, along with bands extending further out. And of course, storm surge to the north of the center, which we don't expect to impact the country of Belize. I will just close off by adding that given the fact that we will likely experience tropical storm force winds, and there's a possibility of tropical storm force winds for the northern part of the country, we have been communicating with the National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida, and I have advised the National Emergency Coordinator, who has liaised with the Prime Minister, and we will be declaring a tropical storm watch at the 6 p.m. advisory coming out, well, at 6 p.m. this evening, no? And that will extend from Belize City northward to the border, including, of course, the islands of San Pedro and Key Carker. Tropical storm watch, in this case, means that tropical storm conditions are possible. I emphasize possible within the watch area during the next 48 to 72 hours. In this case, late Thursday night into Friday morning. And that's my briefing for now. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Let me just quickly give an update of what we have been doing at NEMO in the background as well. So we have been watching the system closely alongside the Met Service. We have continued our preparations across the country. As I indicated this morning, we have met all the national committees met this morning to formulate a plan that we will implement in case it's needed. At this time, we remain on standby. All of our district committees remain on alert and will be prepared to mobilize as necessary in the next few days as we watch the development of this Hurricane Beryl heading our way. In the meantime, we continue to encourage the population of Belize to continue your preparations. It will not go to waste for sure. And so we also ask you, as you continue your preparations, to remember that let's reach out to those members of our community who may be elderly, those who may have special needs and have some sort of disability. Just checking on them also to make sure that their preparations are going well. And let's not forget them as we continue to work on this. NEMO will remain on standby throughout this period. The National Emergency Operations Center is in full operation, and we will be monitoring this system for the next few days. We are on 24/7 watch along with all of our committees across the country, and we remain prepared to respond for anything. Again, our hotline is open. 936 is the NEMO hotline. If you have anything to report, or if you have any concerns that you would like to share with us. Again, we remain vigilant. We are making all our preparations in the background, and we are prepared to respond as the storms gets closer. So that concludes on my side. Ms. Zetina, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mendez, and thank you, Mr. Gordon. We now open the floor to any questions from the media. I see VJ, please go ahead.
Good afternoon, Vijalvers from Love News. My first question is for Mr. Gordon. Chief Met, what sort of consistency, if we're seeing any consistency in Beryl's path, no? And what does that mean for the probability of it only affecting the northern part of the country?
Thanks for the question, Vijay. In terms of consistency, we have been seeing that the last at least 5 model runs, and I had mentioned before, these are updated every 6 hours, and at least 5 model runs from about the 3 p.m. one that came out yesterday afternoon has showed that the system is going to take this particular path and head towards the area, Tulum area, I believe it is, on the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico. Of course, I do reiterate that there is still a cone, and a part of that cone still covers the extreme northern part of Belize. But it's a probability distribution, and the highest probable part, or the most likely probable part, is at the center of that cone. Did I miss any part of your question?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon. Jules Vasquez from Channel 7. Chief Met, are you able to speak about what is the likelihood of, well, okay, first I'll start. You said at 3 p.m. today you would, feel a little more settled in your prognostication or in your forecast. What it is now 3 p.m. What are you now settled upon?
Well, I think I'll never be exactly settled, Jules, but we are confident enough in the forecast at this point that we made the declaration. Like I said, we have been communicating with the National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida, with the experts there, the hurricane experts. We have shared what we are seeing, and based on our mutual discussion, we believe that the system will make landfall north of the country. We do know that the system is not a point. Therefore, as I have always emphasized to media houses, please don't try to get me into forcing me to say where exactly it will cross the shoreline. There are impacts beyond that point. Therefore, even if it makes landfall where it is projected to do, we do know that the hurricane force winds and the tropical storm force winds extend farther away from that particular center. And based on that information, then we certainly, I communicate with Mr. Mendes, and of course with we communicated with the Prime Minister, and we were approved to declare a tropical storm watch for the country, like I said before, from Belize to the northward to the Corozal, to the Mexico-Belize border, including, of course, the islands.
Now, are you able to speak about we see the truck, and I will share the screen here as per Nicole's instruction. Let me see if I can bring in the truck screen. Okay, working on that. So, but we see the truck has it increasingly north on the Yucatan Peninsula. Is the and I know you don't like speak about that line, but is the consensus position of the models moving further north with each forecast?
No, from what I've seen, they have not moved further north. They have remained basically at that same position.
Okay, and so now you're saying it went down. It was 155 this morning. Sorry, 165, I think, this morning at 6 a.m. and now it's down to 155. Is this the gradual weakening that you have forecast? And might we see? Okay, so it was expected to weaken to a category 1, or it's still forecast to do that. However, because it went so high, so anomalously, unprecedentedly high, are you all expecting that when it comes down, it might not come down as low, right? Because it went anomalously high.
Yes, I feel like I answered that question this morning. So certainly within the forecasting space, there's always, we never say zero probability of anything. So nothing will be at zero chance. There is a chance that it actually comes in a bit stronger than is being forecast. It's currently forecasted to be a category 1. It is possible that it may come in at a category 2, and worst case, possibly maybe a 3. So there's always that possibility, but we do notice that the trend is there. It's following the forecast trend. We see the weakening starting, and that's certainly good news for all of us in the region.
Okay, and then are you able to speak about has there been any relevant information from any of your colleagues in the Caribbean, especially in the southern Windward Islands? Has anything been shared that may be of relevant or useful information? We know that a number of island nations got just totally slammed. But was there anything, any useful knowledge coming out of that with how the system behaved? Like maybe the winds weren't stronger in the northwestern quadrant. Is there anything useful like that?
To be honest, I have not had the opportunity to communicate with my colleagues in that area. I do think that they are perhaps still in the recovery phase from this system. So no, I haven't had the chance.
I see other people have their hands up. I guess Nicole, you'll handle that. Okay, I see Centaur. Let's hear.
Yes,
Centaur.
we want to give everybody a chance, So can we have Aaron Humes, please?
Thanks, Mr. Tina. Afternoon, everybody. Your news from Breaking Blaze News. For the treatment, my question has to do with the speed of this storm. It's been one way traffic since the weekend, west-northwest at 22 miles per hour, and it seems wherever it seems to be going, it seems to be going in a hurry. Is there any indication that it may slow down while passing over Jamaica, for example, or near Jamaica, or as it comes closer to us?
The forecast does indicate a slight reduction in forward speed over the Northwestern Caribbean Sea. Yes.
I think that's about it more or less. Thanks.
Thank you, Aaron. We now move on to Jose. Thank you, Aaron. We now move on to Jose.
Yes, hi. Representing Reuters. I had a couple quick questions for the area of the North, specifically. Do we have any curfew that's going to be possibly implemented from Belize City to Corozal? One. And the second question, you mentioned vulnerable people. I'm thinking of the homeless. Do we have any special orders to secure people who live on the streets, for example, who may be affected?
Okay, to your first question, there is no plan to implement a curfew as yet. You will know that we put out an advisory earlier that we are in the preliminary phase. At this point, there is no need to implement a curfew. These of course are tools that we use as storms get closer to our country. But at this point, there is no need for that. In regards to the homeless as well. They are also included in our plans. We do have a plan. We do have a subcommittee called the Disability Committee, and they are aware of these persons. And if there's a need, these people will be picked up and provided shelter.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I see a question from CTV3. Please go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. My first question goes to Mr. Mendes. In regards of preparation, have you received information when it comes to NEMO Corozal, especially since we had torrential rains here in the north, and Corozal was particularly impacted by those rains, and we understand the soil is already saturated. What information are they bringing to you in regards to preparation?
Okay, thank you. So our district office in Corozal has never really stood down. We have been on operations since the weekend, and so we have been reaching out. I know there have been teams doing damage assessments and delivering of relief supplies to families in those areas. So we continue to provide that. The committee district offices have met and continue to meet every day, and those continue to provide support. So that office is in full operation, and it will remain so, like I said, for the next few days until the system has passed.
Is there a particular area of concern with what happened over the weekend? We saw flooding in Concepcion, Progreso. Any of those areas actually being monitored at this time?
Yes, I can tell you they're all being closely watched by the committee. You know that our committee is not just the NEMO coordinator, but they're all of government, and so we do have representatives from all ministries in the committee, including MIDH, the Ministry of Infrastructure and Development, and so they have also been out doing assessments, and they have been providing information as necessary. So we are keeping an eye on all of these areas.
Right. And my other question goes to the Chief Met. Sir, what advice would you give residents in Corozal and Orange Walk District, since we've seen that the release issued says there is interest in San Pedro, Kikaca, Corozal, and Orange Walk, particularly those living in low-lying areas who have a tendency of wanting to move out at the last minute?
Well, I will address this question from a Met perspective, and I believe Mr. Mendes will be able to answer as it relates to evacuation and preparations. But from a meteorological perspective, my advice would be, of course, to monitor. It is still a bit early. We have issued the watch, which means that conditions are possible. That could be upgraded to a warning, which means that conditions are imminent. We are not there yet. So certainly a watch means that you need to be on the alert, a heightened sense of alert, and keep monitoring the official sources of information and be guided by such sources, including the Met Service and NEMO. Mr. Mendes, would you want to chime in on as it relates to preparations? Thank you.
Yes, of course, as it relates to preparation, if you know you live in a low-lying area, certainly you know that you are one of those persons in those vulnerable areas. And so definitely the importance of ensuring that your plan is in place in case it's the rains start to affect your area. You need to know where to go. If we encounter those situations, there will be shelters open, and those will be made known to each district by the district offices. And so you will be this will be open, and there will be it will be provided to anyone who has that need. But of course, again, if you live in one of these areas and you know that you have traditionally been faced with flood, then certainly you need to understand that you may be at risk if there's excessive rainfall, and you need to start planning.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. I see, Jose, you have your hand up again. Jules, we have you on the screen. Okay. Jose, do you have a question for us? Okay. Is there anybody else who has a question for the Chief Met or the NEC? If there are no questions, I will ask if there are any last comments that Mr. Mendes or Mr. Gordon would like to share with the public before we end today's press briefing.
Hey, Nicole, I had a question. I'm sorry.
Yes,
And
Jules, go ahead.
the screen share will be the end of me. Real quickly, if I can bring up your screen. Yeah, that was a fail. Okay, so real quickly, so what we are seeing with the storm and the behavior of the storm is consistent. The track is consistent so far. What should we expect? As we go into night, there is some anxiety. What should we expect to see in the morning? Where is the storm forecast to be at tomorrow morning in regards to Cayman and Jamaica?
think somebody needs to mute.
Hi, love, can we ask you to please mute?
Okay, in response to your question, Jules, tomorrow morning, when we wake up, according to the forecast, it will still be a major hurricane, centered a few hundred miles to the south of Haiti and moving west-northwestward towards Jamaica.
Okay, good.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Anybody else?
Nope.
Okay, and then if I could quickly ask Chief Met, I know you're being constantly harassed, and everybody, you know, you're a forecaster, and people want Nostradamus, they want psychic, right? But what is the, you know, anxiety guides many of our interactions in this. But what is the most sober caution you would give a member on the public of just, we just have to wait, you know, it's just nature doing its thing.
All right, I guess you gave me the perfect opportunity to make my closing remarks. Certainly, we need to remain vigilant. We are still early in the hurricane season. We do expect a very, very active 2024 Atlantic Basin hurricane season. So my advice to the public is that we can use this opportunity to certainly revise our hurricane plan. Of course, it's not over yet. So we still do not know to what extent we'll be impacted precisely, but certainly I think it's an opportunity for us to prepare because we do know that the months of September and October are typically when we are affected. So if we are having one as early as July, then certainly the chances are that we'll see a next one farther up in the year. So certainly I think it's an opportunity to be prepared. And I want to close off by reminding persons that a tropical storm watch, again, means that tropical storm conditions are possible within the watch area. It isn't 100% certain as yet. We're under a watch because we want persons to start preparing and to start taking necessary actions to protect life and property. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, are there any final questions? Mr. Mendez, I don't know if you would like to give a final statement.
Yes. Again, we keep on monitoring with the Met Service. We want to provide the best possible guidance to the country. I know there are, as had been mentioned before, there may be some anxiety as we watch this. We are doing, we're monitoring, we are preparing, we are doing our absolute best to ensure that we are prepared to provide the support to the public. Again, like the Chief Met had said, ensure that your plans are prepared. There's still some time to ensure that you have these and you know what to do. So I stress to you, keep on planning. We do have the rest of the season to look at, and we may be doing this again some point in the next few months. So the time to plan is now.
Okay, and with that, we would like to thank you all for joining in to our virtual briefing. We ask you, the public, to please bear with us as we navigate this virtual session. You know, things will happen. Technology has its mind of its own sometimes, but please bear with us as we get the information out to you, as we can't always be in person, to share this news with you. Again, stay safe, follow official reports from NEMO and Met. You can find those on our Facebook pages, and keep preparing. We see you tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. Thank you.